Before the first pyramid touched the sky, before the Nile learnt when to flood, before kings wore crowns and priests spoke prayers, there was Thoth, not a god of thunder, not a god of war, but the god who remembered everything. Ancient Egyptians believed the world itself could not exist without him, because time, language, numbers, and memory were all written into reality by Thoth's hand. If these ancient stories calm your mind, if they help you drift into rest, you are welcome here, like the video if it brings you peace. Share it with someone who loves quiet history, and subscribe to Whispers of the World, where forgotten knowledge still speaks. Tonight, we do not rush. Tonight, we listen. Because this is not just a myth. It is the story of the first keeper of knowledge, the one who stood between chaos and order, and quietly decided what humanity would be allowed to remember. Lower your breath. Let the world fade. This is the ancient story of Thoth. In the beginning there was no Egypt, no temples, no written words. There was only none. The endless, dark, silent waters of chaos. From these waters, creation began not with violence, but with understanding. The ancient texts tell us that before gods ruled, before the sun rose for the first time, there existed awareness. That awareness was Thoth. He was not born like other gods. He emerged, fully formed, already knowing the laws of existence. The Egyptians described him as he who exists by himself, a being whose mind preceded matter. Thoth did not create the universe by force. He defined it. He named things, and by naming them, they became real. This is why words were sacred in ancient Egypt. To speak was to shape reality, and Thoth was the first speaker, the god who measured the universe. While other gods fought for power, Thoth measured the heavens. He counted the stars. He calculated the movement of the sun and moon. He established time itself. The Egyptians believed there were once only 360 days in a year. The remaining 5 days, the days of birth of the gods, were won by Thoth through intelligence, not war. In one ancient myth, Thoth challenges the moon god to a game of wisdom. He does not fight, he does not threaten, he outthinks him. By winning pieces of moonlight, Thoth creates extra days, allowing the divine order to continue. This myth is not about gambling, it is about control of time. Thoth was the architect of calendars, cycles, and destiny. Without him, there would be no history because there would be no way to remember it. Why Thoth was never a king. Unlike Ra, Osiris, or Horus, Thoth never demanded worship through fear. He stood beside the throne, not upon it. He was the scribe of the gods, recording every decree, every action, every soul. The ancient Egyptians believed that nothing escaped Thoth's record, not even the gods themselves. In the hall of judgment, where souls were weighed against the feather of truth, it was Thoth who wrote the result. And what he wrote became eternal. This made him more powerful than kings, because kings ruled the living. Thoth ruled memory. The sacred forms of Thoth. Thoth appeared in 2 sacred forms. The ibis, a bird with a long curved beak, symbolizing precision, patience, and balance, and the baboon, a creature believed to greet the rising sun, representing awakening and intelligence. These were not random animals. They symbolized observation. Thoth did not rush into action. He watched, he recorded, he waited. This is why he is often called the Silent One, the birth of writing. Before Thoth, humanity spoke but forgot. Stories vanished. Wisdom died with elders. Thoth changed this. He gifted humanity writing not as decoration but as technology. Hieroglyphs were believed to be alive. Each symbol carried sound, meaning, and power. To write something was to bind it into reality. This is why sacred texts were hidden, why only priests could read them. Knowledge was dangerous, and Thoth understood this better than anyone, so he did not give humanity everything. He gave them just enough. Thoth and Ma'at, order of the universe. The universe, the Egyptians believed, was fragile. Without balance, chaos would return. That balance was called Ma'at, truth, justice, harmony. And Thoth was Ma'at's guardian. He did not enforce order with punishment. He enforced it with understanding. He corrected mistakes. He guided rulers. He whispered wisdom into the minds of priests and scholars. But when humanity ignored balance, Thoth did not intervene. He recorded the first warning. Ancient texts hint at a time when humans grew arrogant. They forgot the gods. They misused knowledge. They disrupted balance. Thoth saw it coming. He began to hide knowledge. Tablets were sealed. Temples were buried. Wisdom was encoded into myths, not destroyed, preserved, for a future time when humanity would be ready again. This is why Thoth is later associated with lost civilizations, hidden libraries, and forbidden books, because he did not abandon humanity. He prepared for its collapse. As Egypt slowly formed along the Nile, as temples rose and kings claimed divine power, Thoth remained unchanged, watching, recording, waiting, because soon the gods themselves would face betrayal, death, and rebirth, and Thoth would be there, pen in hand, to decide what the world would remember and what would be lost forever. Thoth and the first death of a god the world had taken shape. The Nile flowed with rhythm. Fields grew and rested in balance. Kings ruled in the name of the gods. And among the gods, Osiris became king of Egypt. Osiris ruled gently. He taught humans how to farm, how to live in harmony, how to follow Ma'at, the cosmic order. But harmony always attracts jealousy. And jealousy, left unrecorded, becomes chaos. That is why Thoth watched closely. The jealousy of Set, the brother of Osiris, ruled the desert, a land of storms, fire, and disorder. Where Osiris brought life, Set brought survival. Set did not hate Osiris for his throne alone. He hated him because Osiris was loved, and love is power. Set observed patiently, just as Thoth did, but with a very different intention. He planned not through force, but through deception. The first divine murder set invited Osiris to a grand celebration. There was music, there was laughter, there was wine, and then Set revealed a beautiful chest, crafted perfectly to Osiris's measurements. He promised it as a gift to whoever fit inside it perfectly. Osiris, unsuspecting, stepped inside. The lid was slammed shut, sealed, locked, thrown into the Nile. This was the first death of a god, and Thoth wrote it down. Why Thoth did not intervene. Many wonder why Thoth did not stop it. He knew the future, he understood balance, he saw the consequences, but Thoth was not a god of interference. He was a god of process. Death, he understood, was not the end. It was a transition, and something greater was about to emerge. Isis and the search for the body. Isis, wife of Osiris, did not accept loss. She searched endlessly. Across rivers, marshes, and foreign lands, Thoth guided her indirectly. Not by leading her path, but by revealing signs, dreams, symbols, whispers of intuition. Eventually, Isis found the chest, washed ashore. She mourned, she prayed, she prepared to restore Osiris. But Set returned. Enraged, he cut Osiris's body into pieces and scattered them across Egypt. The god of order was truly destroyed. or so it seemed. The knowledge that reverses death Isis gathered the pieces one by one. But resurrection was not possible through love alone. This is where Thoth stepped forward. He taught Isis sacred words, sounds never meant for human ears, words that shaped reality itself. These were not spells, they were commands embedded in creation. Thoth also revealed the ritual of breath, the understanding of life force, and the timing of celestial alignment. Resurrection required precision, and precision was Thoth's domain. The first resurrection. Through Thoth's knowledge, Isis restored Osiris, not to the world of the living, but to something deeper. Osiris became lord of the afterlife. Death was no longer meaningless. It became a journey. This was the greatest transformation in Egyptian belief. Before Osiris, death was silence. After Osiris, death was judgment, memory, and continuation. And Thoth became the scribe of souls, Thoth in the hall of judgment. Every soul would now face judgment, not by emotion, not by favoritism, but by truth. In the hall of Ma'at, the heart of the deceased was weighed against the feather of balance, and Thoth stood beside the scale, recording, not deciding, only writing what was. This made him terrifying in a quiet way, because there were no appeals to Thoth, only honesty. The birth of Horus. From the brief resurrection of Osiris, Horus was born, a god destined to challenge Set. Thoth became Horus's protector, not with weapons, but with wisdom. When Horus lost his eye in battle, it was Thoth who restored it. The eye of Horus became a symbol of healing, mathematics, and cosmic balance. Again, knowledge saved what force could not. The hidden role of Thoth. Throughout this divine war, Thoth never chose sides openly. He ensured balance remained possible. Without him, Horus would have died, Isis would have failed, Osiris would have been forgotten. Thoth did not rule Egypt. He ensured Egypt continued to exist. Why Thoth became the guardian of secrets. After witnessing betrayal, death, and resurrection, Thoth understood something essential. Knowledge changes destiny. In the wrong hands, it destroys balance. In the right hands, it restores worlds. So Thoth began to limit access. Not everyone would know everything. Some knowledge would be hidden, some encoded, some delayed for future ages. This decision would echo through history. The gods had faced death. The afterlife had been defined. Judgment had a record keeper. And Thoth stood eternal, between chaos and order, between life and memory. But humanity was watching. And soon humans would seek what was never meant to be freely given, the books of Thoth. Forbidden knowledge and the fear of the gods. As ages passed and dynasties rose along the Nile, Thoth's presence did not fade. It deepened, temples grew larger, priesthoods became more complex, and humanity's hunger for knowledge intensified. People no longer asked only how to live. They asked why. And it was then that the legends of the books of Thoth began to circulate. Not as myths told openly in daylight, but as whispers passed in shadows. The knowledge that was never meant to be free. The ancient Egyptians believed Thoth had written many texts, not on papyrus alone, but on reality itself. But among all his writings, 2 books were spoken of with caution. They were said to contain knowledge that could command animals and spirits, understand the language of the gods, see the movements of the stars before they happened, speak words that altered fate. These books were not metaphors. They were believed to be instructions, manuals for reality, and that made them dangerous. Why the gods feared human knowledge. The gods had learned something from Osiris's death. Power could be challenged, order could be broken, balance could collapse. If humans learned what gods knew, the separation between mortal and divine would dissolve. Thoth understood this better than any other god. He was not afraid of humans. He was afraid of imbalance. Knowledge, given without wisdom, always leads to collapse. So Thoth sealed the books. The hidden locations. Some said the books of Thoth were hidden beneath temples. Others claimed they were buried under the Great Pyramid. Some believed they were placed in chambers accessible only during rare celestial alignments. But the most persistent belief was this: the books were hidden where only the worthy could reach them, not by strength, not by wealth, but by understanding. The knowledge protected itself. The tale of Prince Setna. One of the most famous stories involving the books of Thoth comes from a prince named Setna Khomwas. Setna was not ignorant. He was educated, curious, and ambitious. He had heard the legends, and he believed himself worthy. Ignoring warnings, he searched relentlessly until he found a tomb said to contain one of Thoth's books. Inside the tomb lay a mummy, and beside it, the book. But the tomb was not abandoned. It was guarded by spirits, and the book was not inert. The illusion of power. When Setna took the book and read its words, something remarkable happened. The world responded. Animals obeyed him. Invisible forces listened. Reality bent. For a moment, Setna believed he had surpassed human limits, but Thoth's knowledge always came with a price. The book did not test intelligence. It tested restraint, the punishment of misuse. Setna began to lose what mattered most. His family suffered, his children vanished. His reality fractured into illusion and despair. Nothing violent occurred. No thunder, no wrathful god. Only consequence. Eventually, broken and humbled, Setna returned the book. The suffering ended, and the lesson was clear. Knowledge without balance does not elevate. It destroys. Thoth's silent judgment. Thoth never appeared to punish Setna. He did not need to. The knowledge enforced its own law. This is the most terrifying aspect of Thoth. He did not rule through fear. He ruled through truth. If you misused what you learned, reality corrected you. Why Thoth chose scribes, not kings. Throughout Egyptian history, Thoth favoured scribes, not warriors, not rulers. Scribes were patient, precise, aware that mistakes mattered. Writing was sacred. To write something incorrectly was to distort reality. This is why scribes prayed to Thoth before touching ink to papyrus. They were not afraid of making grammatical errors. They were afraid of cosmic ones. The transformation of Thoth into Hermes. As Egypt's influence spread and cultures blended, Thoth did not disappear. He transformed. To the Greeks, he became Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great Hermes, a being of immense wisdom credited with teachings on alchemy, astronomy, sacred geometry. The nature of the soul. The teachings of Hermes echoed Thoth's philosophy. As above, so below. The universe was mirrored within the human mind, but not everyone understood this. Knowledge becomes symbol. Over time, Thoth's teachings became encoded. Myths replaced manuals. Symbols replaced instructions. This was intentional, because symbols require interpretation, and interpretation requires maturity. Thoth had learned that humanity must earn understanding. Why the books still matter. Even today, the idea of lost knowledge fascinates humanity. Hidden libraries, forbidden texts, ancient wisdom erased by time. But the truth may be simpler. The knowledge was never lost. It was withheld, waiting. Not for technology, but for balance. Thoth's greatest secret. The greatest secret of Thoth was not written in any book. It was this: the universe does not need to be controlled. It needs to be understood, and understanding begins with humility. Those who sought power failed. Those who sought wisdom were guided. The silence after the books. As centuries passed, the stories of the books of Thoth faded. But Thoth remained. In every written word, every recorded history, every measurement of time, he didn't vanish. He dissolved into civilization itself. Humanity had been tested. Some failed, some learned. Most remained unaware, but one truth remained constant: knowledge changes destiny, and destiny must be handled carefully. Thoth knew that the greatest danger was not ignorance, but knowing too much too soon. The preservation of wisdom across cataclysms. As centuries passed, the earth itself began to shift. Rivers changed courses, seas rose and fell, civilizations rose and crumbled beneath the weight of time. Through all this, Thoth remained, not as a ruler, not as a king, not as a warrior, but as a guardian of wisdom, a silent observer recording the fates of nations. Among these civilizations, one stood above all others in knowledge, architecture, and mystery: Atlantis. The stories of Atlantis were not widely known in Egypt during the earliest dynasties. Yet, in the most secret temples, some priests whispered that Thoth had walked among its scholars. He had guided them. He had shared fragments of wisdom, carefully measured, carefully chosen. Atlantis, a civilization of knowledge. Atlantis was said to be a land of unimaginable beauty and order. Its people understood the movements of the stars, the cycles of the earth, and the secrets of energy that later civilizations could only dream of. They built great structures not merely to house kings or gods, but to align with the cosmos itself. They measured time not in days or years, but in ages of celestial influence. Thoth is believed to have shared with Atlantis the principles of mathematics, astronomy, and harmony, knowledge that would later appear in Egypt, but only in fragments. Yet, the Atlanteans grew ambitious. Their wisdom turned toward pride. And, like set before them, they began to seek power over creation, rather than understanding it. The Great Cataclysm. Ancient texts and oral traditions spoke of a flood unlike any before or since. The seas rose, mountains collapsed, cities sank beneath the waves. Thoth, who had observed the unfolding arrogance of Atlantis, did not intervene to stop the flood. Instead, he acted quietly. He encoded the knowledge of Atlantis, not in structures that could be swept away, not in the minds of the reckless, but in hidden repositories, symbols, and myths. Thus, when the waters receded, humanity would remember only fragments, but the essence of wisdom would survive. The secret of preservation. Thoth's method was subtle. He taught select scribes and priests to write knowledge in layers: surface level, safe stories, myths for the public; intermediate level, for initiated priests, containing practical guidance in architecture, medicine, and astronomy. Hidden level, encrypted wisdom meant only for those prepared to handle it responsibly. Even the pyramids themselves, some scholars argue, were not only tombs or monuments, but repositories of encoded knowledge. Hieroglyphs, measurements, and alignments carried instructions for understanding mathematics, astronomy, and spiritual practice. Thoth was the ultimate guardian of survival through knowledge. The role of flood. Survivors of the flood carried pieces of Atlantis. Some fled to Egypt, others migrated to distant lands. Thoth is said to have guided these survivors, teaching them how to rebuild society without repeating mistakes, preserving only what would ensure balance and survival, encouraging humility alongside knowledge. This selective guidance shaped the foundations of Egyptian civilization. By the time the first pyramids rose, much of the wisdom of Atlantis had been encoded into Egyptian temples, texts, and rituals, but it was hidden, because humanity was not yet ready for the full power of knowledge. Thoth and the cosmic calendar. One of Thoth's most important contributions during this period was the cosmic calendar. The flood had disrupted natural cycles, altering the alignment of the stars and the timing of the Nile's flooding. Thoth calculated a new calendar that accounted for solar and lunar movements, seasonal flooding of the Nile's celestial alignments for agriculture and ritual, the timing of sacred festivals. This calendar was so precise that many historians believe it was accurate within minutes, even for modern astronomy. By encoding this calendar into myths, hymns, and sacred architecture, Thoth ensured it would survive even if the records were lost. The birth of mystical schools. After the flood, Thoth guided the formation of mystical schools in Egypt. Hermetic schools focusing on the study of the stars, mathematics, and spiritual balance. Temple schools preserving rituals for life, death, and judgment. Initiation schools preparing select individuals to understand higher knowledge safely. These schools became the carriers of Atlantis' wisdom. It was through them that the principles of harmony, justice, and truth, ma'at, continue to influence Egyptian culture. Without Thoth's careful planning, this knowledge would have been lost forever. Thoth and the transmission of secret knowledge. To preserve wisdom across generations, Thoth employed a method still mysterious today: encoded writing. Symbols within symbols, hieroglyphs that contained multiple layers of meaning. Oral tradition, knowledge passed quietly from teacher to student in whispered lessons. Astronomical alignments, temples, pyramids, and monuments encoded knowledge about the stars, planets, and cosmic cycles. Myth and story. Complex stories like the Osiris myth held allegories for morality, balance, and cosmic law. By using these methods, Thoth ensured that wisdom could survive catastrophe, even if human memory failed. The lesson of Atlantis. The story of Atlantis teaches an important truth. Knowledge alone is not enough. Power without balance brings destruction. And even the most advanced civilization is vulnerable to arrogance. Thoth understood this. He did not save Atlantis from the flood. Instead, he saved its knowledge, preparing humanity to rebuild, but only in harmony. It is said that Thoth whispered to survivors, "Preserve. Understand. Do not destroy what you do not comprehend." This principle echoed throughout Egyptian culture, guiding rulers, priests, and scholars for centuries. Thoth and the concept of immortality. Through Atlantis and the flood, Thoth reinforced the idea that true immortality lies in knowledge and memory, not in physical existence. The pyramids, the tombs, and the written records all became vessels for preserving consciousness. Even the gods themselves relied on Thoth's meticulous record-keeping. By guarding knowledge, he ensured the survival of culture, the continuation of civilization, the endurance of cosmic order. Thoth's immortality was not in worship. It was in the continuity of wisdom through time, the hidden influence on later civilizations. After the flood, remnants of Atlantis' wisdom filtered into other civilizations. in Mesopotamia through stories of gods, floods, and kings. In Greece through philosophy and mathematics influenced by Egyptian Hermetic traditions. Even in the Americas, where certain structures align with stars similarly to Egyptian monuments. Thoth's guidance allowed knowledge to resurface in cycles. He did not act openly. He acted through the careful placement of wisdom where it could survive yet remain hidden from misuse. The lasting principle. From the story of Atlantis, Thoth taught humanity. Knowledge is power. Power without restraint leads to destruction. Wisdom is only meaningful when it preserves balance. True immortality is achieved through careful preservation of understanding. This principle underlies all Egyptian thought. Ma'at, law, ritual, architecture, and astronomy were designed not only to honor gods, but to ensure continuity and harmony across time. Thoth's influence extended beyond Egypt, beyond memory, and beyond the flood. The waters of Atlantis receded, the survivors scattered, the world shifted. But Thoth remained, silent, observing, recording. Through pyramids, hieroglyphs, temples, and myths, he preserved the wisdom of lost civilizations. The knowledge that survived the flood became the foundation for Egypt's greatness. And yet, Thoth never revealed all. He left puzzles, he left mysteries, he left lessons for the patient, the humble, and the wise. And in the quiet corners of forgotten temples, if one listens closely, Thoth's whispers still guide those who seek knowledge without arrogance. Thoth's legacy, the eternal scribe and the secrets. Humanity is yet to unlock the eternal scribe. Through the rise and fall of kingdoms, through floods, wars, and migrations, Thoth remained constant. He was not a king. He was not a conqueror. He was the scribe of eternity, recording not only events but the very essence of balance. Every word he wrote carried weight. Every symbol he inscribed encoded power. Every teaching he imparted shaped the destiny of civilizations, even those that had never seen him. The Egyptians believed that Thoth did not age. He was the eternal witness, present whenever knowledge was created, preserved, or lost. Even when humanity forgot, even when temples crumbled, Thoth's wisdom remained hidden, waiting for seekers who were patient enough to discover it. The guardianship of knowledge. Thoth understood a profound truth. Knowledge alone does not bring power. Knowledge must be guarded. It must be earned. It must be applied with balance. Throughout Egypt, the priests and scribes who served Thoth became guardians of this wisdom. They learned to encode instructions in layers, hieroglyphs that contained symbolic truths and spiritual guidance, mathematical patterns embedded in architecture, measurements, and calendars, rituals and chants that preserved cosmic knowledge in sound and rhythm. These guardians were trained to be humble and patient, for arrogance could destroy what centuries had preserved. Even the most powerful kings were advised by Thoth's teachings, though they often failed to comprehend the depth of his guidance. The secret teachings of Thoth. Among Thoth's secret teachings were principles that would later form the foundation of alchemy, astronomy, mathematics, and metaphysics. He taught that everything is connected, from the smallest grain of sand to the vastness of the cosmos. Balance is law. Chaos exists as a counterpoint to order, and one cannot exist without the other. Time is flexible, measured not only in years and days, but in cycles of energy and awareness. Life and death are transitions. Nothing truly ends, and memory preserves essence. These lessons were not written openly. They were hidden in myths, in sacred geometry, and in the alignment of temples with celestial bodies. Thoth knew that the human mind must mature before comprehending these truths. Premature understanding could lead to catastrophe. The lost cities and the rediscovery of wisdom. After Atlantis and the great floods, humanity scattered across the continents. Some survivors carried fragments of Thoth's teachings. Others forgot, leaving only ruins and stories. In Egypt, the preservation was meticulous. The Great Pyramid of Giza reflected celestial alignments. Temples in Karnak and Luxor encoded mathematical and astronomical principles. Hieroglyphs recorded events, moral lessons, and subtle instructions for spiritual growth. Beyond Egypt, hints of Thoth's influence appeared in Mesopotamia, Greece, and even distant lands that later civilizations would claim as their own origin. Thoth's legacy was a hidden thread connecting humanity across time and space. The scribe of souls. Thoth's role extended beyond the physical world. He became the scribe of souls. In the Hall of Maat, he recorded the weight of hearts against the feather of truth. No judgment was arbitrary. No error went unnoticed. No soul escaped the careful scrutiny of Thoth. This is why he was both revered and feared. Humans understood that their actions, their intentions, and their thoughts were recorded eternally. Even the gods deferred to him, for without Thoth there could be no record of truth. The scribe of eternity did not punish, he recorded, and the act of recording itself imposed a form of cosmic justice. The influence on Hermeticism and philosophy. Centuries later, as civilizations evolved and cultures merged, Thoth's influence resurfaced in different forms. He became known as Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great Hermes in Greek traditions. The Hermetic texts contained echoes of Thoth's original wisdom. The universe is alive with patterns and principles. Human consciousness mirrors the cosmos. Understanding the self leads to understanding the universe. Knowledge and wisdom must be applied with ethics and restraint. These teachings inspired philosophers, mystics, and alchemists. Even in the Renaissance, scholars studied Hermetic texts to unlock the secrets of nature and the mind. Yet all of this traced back to Thoth, the quiet observer, the eternal scribe who recorded the unfolding of time. The challenge of modern humanity. Today, humanity has access to more knowledge than ever before, yet Thoth's principles remain relevant. Knowledge without wisdom is dangerous. Power without balance leads to destruction. Memory and history preserve what is essential for survival. In the digital age, Thoth's teachings can be seen as a metaphor for responsible use of information. Like the priests who carefully preserved sacred knowledge, we too must discern what to seek, what to share, and how to apply it wisely. The greatest secrets of Thoth. Thoth left many secrets still hidden from humanity. The true extent of the books of Thoth. Texts that may contain knowledge beyond modern science or comprehension. The lost civilizations, Atlantis, Lemuria, and other advanced cultures whose wisdom was preserved in symbols and architecture. The connection between consciousness and reality, how thought, intention, and understanding can shape matter and energy. Cosmic cycles, hidden patterns in the movement of stars, planets, and energies affecting human history. Immortality through memory. The principle that knowledge carefully preserved ensures life beyond physical existence. These secrets were not lost. They were protected by the scribe of eternity, waiting for humanity to mature enough to understand without destroying itself. The lessons for humanity. Thoth's story is not only for the past, it is a guide for the present and future. Humility, respect the knowledge you acquire. Balance, apply power and understanding responsibly. Preservation, record wisdom for those who come after you. Patience, true understanding requires time. Through these principles, Thoth continues to influence the world, not as a visible god, but as the echo of wisdom in every act of careful creation and ethical decision. Even when forgotten, Thoth's presence is felt in architecture, mathematics, philosophy, and spirituality. Thoth and the hidden codex of humanity. Some scholars and mystics believe that Thoth left a hidden codex, a blueprint for understanding reality itself. It is said to be encoded in monuments aligned with stars, mathematical patterns in ancient structures, texts and myths disguised as allegories, the cycles of history itself. This codex may contain knowledge that modern science is only beginning to rediscover: energy systems, astronomy, human consciousness, and even the mechanics of life itself. Thoth's method ensures that only those who are curious, patient, and responsible can unlock the wisdom safely. Thoth in the modern imagination. Thoth has inspired countless writers, artists, and thinkers. His imagery appears in tarot, depicting wisdom, balance, and divine understanding. His myths influence stories of resurrection, secret knowledge, and hidden cities. The concept of lost knowledge and hidden wisdom permeates modern literature, from ancient mysteries to science fiction. The enduring fascination with Thoth is proof of one simple fact: knowledge, when handled correctly, transcends time and space. The ultimate truth. Thoth's story teaches us that knowledge is sacred, wisdom must be earned, balance is essential, memory and preservation are the keys to immortality. Even the gods depended on Thoth's records. Even civilizations rose and fell according to the wisdom he preserved. And humanity today continues to walk paths shaped by his teachings. In every temple, every book, every symbol, Thoth whispers silently, "Seek knowledge with care, apply wisdom with humility, preserve what is essential, and you shall endure." Thoth's legacy is eternal. He does not rule through fear or force. He rules through truth, memory, and wisdom. Through floods, lost civilizations, and the rise and fall of empires, he remained constant, a reminder that knowledge is power, but wisdom is survival. And though humanity has walked centuries without understanding him fully, his influence persists in the alignment of stars, in the patterns of thought, in every story of resurrection, balance, and hidden wisdom. To follow Thoth is to seek knowledge responsibly, to honor history, and to preserve wisdom for those who will come after. The scribe of eternity is watching, and those who listen with humility may yet discover secrets the world has almost forgotten.